Welcome, heroes and villains, to the Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. I'm your host, Fjook, and this was recorded as part of Accalipup's Ask Me Anything live stream on July 19th. I think that's today. Anyways, as some people are aware, I suffer from depression. I've suffered from it since the 90s, and there are other mental disorders that I don't know that much about. And I know I'm not asking, and I know Accalipup isn't an expert, but she does have a mental disorder that I would like to ask her a few questions about, if that's okay with her today.
I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my abilities.
What's it like having periods of time where someone else is in control of your body and you have no memory of what they're doing?
Terrifying at first. Over the years, I've gotten used to it. The only times it really scares me is when I'm gone for long periods of time. So, for example, a couple years ago, I was gone for an entire month while Des and Kaylee took turns. And when I came back, I ended up in the hospital because, as I said, I had been gone for an entire month, and that was really scary for me. But over the years, you kind of get used to it. Thankfully, I have an amazing Xiel, and he keeps track of what we've been up to. He lets me know what goes on my day to day, how things are going. And so I have a much clearer picture now than I ever have before about what happens when I'm not around.
Is it still called multiple personality disorder, or does it have a different name these days?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people call it multiple personality disorder. Some people call it dissociative identity disorder. I don't know which is technical anymore in the psychology books. I call it multiple personality disorder because I also have what is called borderline personality disorder. And so not only do I have the multiple personalities, I have all kinds of other issues with anxiety, depression, mood swings, anger, things like that. So to say that I have multiple personalities gives me a clearer picture of what it is rather than just disassociating for me.
How many personalities do you have?
Currently, I only have the two. So there's three of us total, me included. But that was not always the case. My very first personality actually was an alien princess from Mars named Crystalia. And she only showed up for, you'd have to ask Mana Brews because he was there during that time, far, far away ago. But she was only there for a little bit of time, and ever since, we haven't heard from her again. So I'm not sure if she just disappeared or if she's just been dormant this entire time and will eventually pop back up. But it has been many, many years since we have seen her, and I have not had any other branch offs of any kind of other personalities that I am aware of, other than, like I said, Des and Kaylee. So, as far as I am aware, and as far as I've been told by Xiel and the others around me, there are three of us.
From what I know you're not an expert, but from what you know, is it possible for you to get more personalities, or for personalities to, like Des or Kaylee, to disappear?
Yes, as far as I know, it is very possible for them to come and go, whether that's adding another personality or for the personalities to go away completely. It's actually something the other girls worry about because, of course, they know who and what they are, and they know that it is possible at any point for them to just stop existing like Crystalia did. I don't think it's very likely. Des has been around since high school. She is my earliest personality, and she has been a big part of my life, despite the fact that we haven't always gotten along. And Kaylee is more recent. She has only been around for a few years now. But yeah, I started off with one turned into two turned back into one, and then one turned back into two. So I mean, they do come and go.
Your other personality that disappeared, the Martian princess, did you remember when she was around at all, or was she like the other two?
Nope, she was like the other two. I have, believe it or not, I don't know if Mana Bruise is still listening, but I have emails from him from a long time ago talking to her. I saved them because it was one of the few connections I had to her. Um, but it's not like now where I keep in contact with them through my phone or through Xiel. I never had contact with any of my personalities really before now.
So, if you don't remember what your other personalities do or what they say or anything without the help of your phone or Zeal, how do you get into fights with the other personalities?
Oh, I managed just fine. It's it's difficult because I can't actually fight with them because I mean, they're not there. It's not like another person where I can argue with or, you know, punch in the face when she needs it. But not that I'm a violent person to begin with, but it's definitely an interesting concept to fight with yourself. It's not just it's more of an inner monologue when I'm here, and then it's, you know, her bitching about me when she's here. There has been minute amounts of communication previously, but like nothing like it is now.
You mentioned that Des and Kaylee don't want to disappear. How would you feel if they disappeared?
Don't know, honestly, because I would like to remember every single moment of my life. It would be really nice to not have to worry about that anymore. But at the same time, I think I would miss them because they have over the years become such a big part of who and what I am. Um they've become a large part of Zeal's life as well. And they have made me who and what I am in that they've, in their own ways, helped me cope with things that I'm obviously unable to cope with on my own. So it, I do think I would miss them, but I also think that I would be, no offense to them, but just fine without them because I would be a whole person again rather than fragments. Not that I would want to get rid of them, but if they were to go away, I think I'd be okay.
It sounds like you care about them very deeply.
I do. Like I said, when they become such a huge part of your life when they've been around for so many years, you get not just used to them, but you get to know them through the people around you. And it becomes, people have told me it's almost like we're sisters in that we do bicker through Zeal. We do, trade blows mentally instead of physically. Um, we argue, you know, talk behind each other's back without being able to really know what the other people's saying. And I mean, it's rivalry. It's nothing majorly bad, but it's definitely there.
You mentioned that you don't remember the time in your body. Does Kaylee remember her time in your body?
Yes, Kaylee has my memories. Des has my memories, although not necessarily all of them. There are things that fall through the cracks. So you'll have things that they may not remember. It's not always a guarantee that they will remember everything. And so that can also become a little difficult for them because depending on who they're talking to and who they're around, some people have tried to quote unquote catch me in a lie, saying, oh, you remember this, but you don't remember that. And it's like, well, that's because that's how that works. As Xiel said, Des has the best memory retention of all three.
So, Xiel, how is it from your end living with three girls who inhabit one body?
I mean, you know, as someone on the outside of the situation, it sounds complicated, but when you're in it, it just isn't. Like it's not complicated at all. I just, I wake up and whoever wakes up beside me is there, and you get to hang out with that person that day. It's no different than, let's say having three roommates, but two of them just became a hermit and stayed in the room all day and you didn't see them. It's just whoever's there is there. That's all it is.
How would you feel if there was another personality showed up, like the Martian princess came back?
I mean, it wouldn't feel much different than what's again going on. It'd just be another moment of introductions. Well, just like when I first, met the girls. And every day I'm ready for that. Every day there's a possibility someone else is going to show up and I'm going to go, "Oh, hi. I'm, quote unquote Xiel."
Would you be sad if Des and Callie left?
If they left, yes. If they just disappeared out of nowhere and just never came back, that would be saddening. There is a possibility that someday that could happen, but there's also a possibility that someday the personalities can also merge and become a new personality of all three into one.
It's not very likely.
No, it is extremely unlikely.
But it is
I'm going to throw that out there.
Possible.
Super unlikely for that to happen. Although we have been seeing interesting signs where you've been gaining memories of things that you didn't used to, which tells me there's some activity up in your head that's happening, that's combining, that weren't there before. So who knows? My point is that there's a lot of possibilities in the future. Things might change, things might not change at all, things may never change. Just every day we have to see what it brings.
Wouldn't the best case scenario be all three personalities exist and have access to all memories?
Yes.
Either
that or us merging.
I was gonna say, yeah. Best case scenario is a strange question when it comes to dealing with different entities, because essentially you're also asking, best case scenario, entities stop existing, right? And that's not something I'm comfortable with saying.
I don't see that as best case scenario, but that's just me looking at it.
But the thing is that, like, I don't like to think of best case or worst case scenarios. I like to just think of scenarios. I like to think that scenarios could exist. Maybe one day they will merge and all have the memories together, and hopefully whoever's in control is a combination of the girls who all have their own opinions and choices that they would make, but now they all kind of have a say in the head, and that's how you come out with the whatever result comes out in the end. Again, or more personalities pop up, and in what I understand of DID, you're dissociating for a reason, right? You're becoming a new personality for a reason, and that reason is because your brain or your body has decided, hey, you need this. So whether Angel is needed right now, or we need Angel or the Accalipup, as a single entity, requires to be a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? carefree and more childlike, then that's when Kaylee comes out. That's when it's like, hey, you know what? My brain has said I need to be, I need to have some fun and not so worry about so many things. Or, I need to stand up for myself a little bit more, and I need to kick some butt. And that's when Des comes out. you know? So I think that whatever she needs to be is who she's going to be. And if there's a possibility that someday that they get to be one person and she gets all the things she needs because of it, then that's great. But whatever way that comes out is the way it's going to be, and it's never going to be a bad thing.
This is probably going to be my penultimate question. Is it possible for people who do not have multiple personality disorders, such as me or Xiel, to gain it?
There's. I did a little bit of research on this when I first started dating you. Yes, trauma is the biggest part, but there's a second part that's super important to being able to have multiple personalities. You need to have a predisposition to it. So technically, you're born with it. Or rather, you're born with the possibility of having it. So, yes, it is possible if you were born with the predisposition in your DNA. And then, to unlock said DNA, you need to go through a crap ton of trauma. Or big enough trauma.
This is my final question, and it's open to anyone in this chat. Any advice for those suffering with any type of mental illness?
Honestly, my best advice is take it day by day. Whether it's anxiety or depression or multiple personalities or borderline personality disorder, I mean, you have to take it day by day, even sometimes minute by minute, hour by hour, because there's only so much you can do, and you cannot be too hard on yourself. You cannot let everything accumulate and get on top of you, because then it just becomes overwhelming. If you take it day by day or hour by hour, then it becomes more manageable. It becomes not necessarily easy, because I don't think dealing with mental illness is ever easy, but it becomes easier.
Myself with depression, anxiety, and ADD, it took me a long time to figure out what kind of help I need. And I'm not sure if I got it completely yet. But the best thing I can say is to slow down. Like she said, take it day by day. Slow down and figure out what you need. And don't be afraid to try whatever it takes.
Don't be afraid to get help. Yeah, for sure.
That's it. Well, the thing there's so much stigma about medicine. There's so much stigma about therapy. There's so much stigma about giving, quote unquote, giving up and saying that and what's the right word? There's so much stigma in getting help, because if you get help, that means you've given up on the idea that you're a healthy person already. And it's sort of a ridiculous thing, because you would not do that for any other illness. If you have a cold and you have the sniffles, you're not going to be like, well, if I try hard enough, I might not have the sniffles. Like if I believe hard enough that I'm healthy, the sniffles will just go away. And that's not how that freaking works. Try.
That's another thing, though, is that it's not always the first thing that's going to help. It's not always the first doctor that's going to give you the right medication. It's not always the first therapist that's going to click with you in the right way to be able to help you. You can't just try once and say, oh, I've tried it and that's it. You perseverance is key in mental health.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna build off that. Perseverance is key in health. Doesn't matter if it's mental health or not. Health. My sister, she was growing up as a very very young infant with this coughing issue. And doctor after doctor after doctor said it was asthma. So she was using puffers. She was doing what she could to try to figure out what was, wrong and try to take the medicine that was correct for the problem that doctors were saying it was. Wasn't till years and years and years and years later that they found out it wasn't asthma. It was literal it was terrible heartburn where the acid was making its way up her esophagus and then into her lungs, hence the coughing. Um and she almost got cancer because of it. Um and then it turned out I had the exact same problem, but with different symptoms. I was choking on food for the longest time because the acid that was going up into my esophagus, I wasn't feeling it. All the nerves that were at all there were all burnt away. My esophagus was damaged to an extreme degree that when I was swallowing food, it would get stuck in my esophagus. And my sister and I lived with these problems for years. Her doctor saying it was asthma. Me, doctors telling me to chew my food better. And it wasn't until we were in our teens that doctors, one doctor took a look at my sister and went, you know what, this might be something else going on here. And after they fixed that problem, my mother exclaimed to the doctor, well, that's one child fixed. And the doctor was confused, like, what's wrong with your other child? And it turned out it was the same problem. That doctor asked to see me and did some tests, and it turned out we had the exact same illness. We were born with the same illness. So, like, it doesn't matter if it's mental health or any kind of health. If you think there's something wrong with you, you've seen doctors. Doctors are prescribing you things, and they're not working. You've been doing the thing the doctor tells you to do for years, and you're like, why? Why is it that the medication that I get prescribed is not making me better? Maybe it's time to see a new doctor.
Can I just add that for me with my mental health, it was really key that I learned that I'm not alone out there, be it my shrink, my family, my friends, my neighbors. You're not alone. Okay? That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate you chiming in. I do.
I'd like to thank all my guests, Lexi, Accalipup, and Xiel, for joining me in this chat. It went about as long as I was expecting it to, because mental health is a very important issue to me.
Thanks of you to join the Minecraft realm, and thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here tonight. And Fjook, thank you so much for having us. It's been a wonderful conversation. I've appreciated being part of your interviews, not once, but twice tonight. It has been quite insightful to have these questions and to be able to answer them. And it's good. It felt good. So thank you.
It was good to hear.
Thank you for making it this far in the video, and don't forget to check out Accalipup and Xiel. They are streamers who I interviewed. I don't know if they're both up here, but I know Xiel's interview is up here already. Anyways, go check them out, and I'll see you in the next video.